I was watching a short a little while back where they were talking about why it can be so hard to be in our 20s and how that's largely because that's kind of the first time no one is around telling you what to do all the time. All through our childhood, most of us don't have that much choice. And when I first started out with my kind of personal development journey, it was honestly a lot about unlearning things from childhood, people who had influenced me, and society. And it was really just about becoming a more empowered, authentic, and matured version of myself. And I've learned and unlearned a lot. So going back to the short that I mentioned, I figured it could be nice for anyone still in their early 20s, or anyone really anywhere in life, to get some tips on some of the things that I needed to learn and unlearn and take power over in my life in order to grow up from a girl to a woman. And so I hope these tips will help you in your journey too. And just remember, no one really knows what they're doing in the beginning. Everyone is far from perfect, and you're already enough and worthy as you are. Hi there, I'm Antonie, and I guide women and female entrepreneurs to become their authentic selves and let go of the need to prove or justify themselves. So the first tip in the spirit of growing up from a girl to a woman is all around taking responsibility and accountability for your own life and actions. And it's essentially based on the fact that you're no longer a child or a teenager, you're the adult now. And so you and you alone are in charge of how your life turns out. And it's not your parents or your teachers, your friends or your circumstances or any of that. So for example, like I kind of mentioned in the beginning, when you're a child or a teenager, it's kind of hard to make that much changes when it comes to your living situation, whether that's a particular house or a particular city or a particular country. And it can be hard to just say, I'm going to quit school and do something different now. But now you do have the power and you do have the responsibility of taking charge. And if you're not happy with your living situation, to create a different one. Or if you're not happy in your job, then actually taking the accountability of applying for a different job. Or starting that business, even if it's 10 minutes a day or 1 hour a week, it doesn't matter. The point is that only you can do it. And only you can give yourself permission to do it. And within that, again, it's also about taking that responsibility and accountability of really figuring out what is it that you need. Because I remember feeling kind of in my late teenage years of feeling like I couldn't really heal and progress and move forward that much while I was still in the same living environment. But then once I moved out and I created my own living situation, then I had to take the accountability of actually making it happen now. Actually doing the work, actually going through the challenges. And so you need to figure out if there's something that is in your way where you feel like, I don't know how I can be passionate when I'm in a job like this. I don't know how I can be soft and feminine when I'm in a relationship like this. I don't know how I can be my authentic self when I hang around people like this. And so you need to figure out what's blocking you, and then you need to take the responsibility of actually making that change. And then you need to actually take the accountability of going through the motions of doing the inner work or healing the wounds or unleashing your feminine essence once you've kind of removed that block. And so instead of looking around at people who are doing that work and who are changing their lives and just saying, oh, they're just lucky, or oh yeah, but they have it easy. Actually look at what they had to do and then realize that you can do that too. And realize that they weren't given that. They had to choose to show up. They had to choose to own up to what they deserved. They had to choose to prioritize what they really needed and wanted and let go of the idea that everything is meant to be comfortable. And a part of that is defining whether this is something you can't do or something that you won't do. Because sure, everyone can start a multi-billion-dollar business, but maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you look at your friend who has done that and you're like, that's great, but I don't want to do that. But then it's not because you can't, because you can, but you just won't. And that's okay. Whenever you say things like you can't or you didn't have a choice, it's not true and it doesn't put you in an empowered state. You could, you just didn't want to. You can, but you won't. You did have a choice and you made the one that felt right to you in that moment. And so it's time to give yourself that power back because it's yours and you're the only one who has it in your life. Another super important tip when it comes to growing up from a girl to a woman, for me, is a lot around respecting your body and your health. And that includes physical and emotional, mental and spiritual and everything. And it really boils down to this. Whatever is kind of in your priority right now, whatever you're kind of striving towards so that you feel like is most important in your life. Unless that's already your health, because if it is, then you already know this. But if it's something other than your health, what would it be if tomorrow you found out that you were incredibly ill? Wouldn't then your health become your number one priority? And that's because without your health, you have nothing. Without being able to be alive, you can't do anything else. Without living a healthy life, you won't be able to reach your goals and your dreams. You won't be able to be there for your kids. You won't be able to live a long and vibrant life. And this isn't just about the extremes of being kind of either a super ill person or being this like bodybuilder, super fit person. I'm not talking about the extremes here. I'm talking about owning up to you deserving to have more than just an okay health, to have more than mediocrity. So things like low energy, cramps, bloating, not being able to sleep well, feeling drained and tired all the time, having migraines. Things like that are not normal. They're not meant to be like that. And if you have things like that going on, then they are impacting you on a daily basis. And they are reducing your ability to perform, experience, and connect. And yet, again, the only one who can really change your health and the way you approach it is you. So stop settling for mediocre and actually own up to the vibrant, passionate, and exciting life that you deserve and that only you can create for yourself. And the next tip or kind of habit of a high vibe woman who's grown up from a girl to a woman is living according to your values and your boundaries. And that essentially starts with doing the inner work of knowing yourself, loving yourself, and respecting yourself. And it comes from stopping to operate out of conditioning and fear, and instead operating out of awareness, accountability, and desires or aspirations. And then once you kind of start uncovering what your values are, then it's also about standing firm in those beliefs, rather than being like a leaf that changes its direction. Anytime just a little wind of someone second guessing you or someone disagreeing with you comes around, remember that you're the one who has to live with you and your choices in life. No one else has to live with that. Not really. So the more you abandon yourself, your needs, and your values, the more you and no one else suffers. And until you start owning up to your values and your boundaries and your needs, no one else is really going to. Because if you don't even respect you, why would someone else do? And so it's also about stopping to wait for other people to respect you. Stopping to wait for someone to figure out your needs and figure out your needs on your own. Stop waiting for people to tell you what to do. Whether that's in your career or in relationships or just in your life, this is up to you. Another important habit of a woman who's grown up from being a girl, in my opinion, is a lot around understanding your own sexuality. And this can be especially hard for women because there is so much toxic information out there, and most of it really just puts women and women's sexuality and sensuality down. And as women, we kind of get separated into two groups. We're either these like non-sexual beings who are just sweet and innocent and like they don't know anything about sex or anything. Or they're these hypersexual beings who get called names and who get placed in this lesser valuable kind of category. But you need to step beyond that and know the truth. And realize that sex and sexuality is literally one of the most natural things in the world. And you're entitled to feel sensual, empowered, and to experience pleasure. I mean, I'm just saying, but women are the only ones who literally have a body part that is designed for one purpose alone, which is pleasure. So, I mean, if that's not a hint from Mother Nature, I don't know what is. And as a kind of bonus tip, when it comes to understanding and honoring your own sexuality, I really recommend a book called Come As You Are, and I'll link it in the description box below. That one is life-changing and it's so supportive and it's so informative, and it really changed the way that I view sexuality and just my own body. So please, 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 if you haven't read it, check it out. And then the next part of becoming a woman and letting go of the girl is learning to communicate. And this is a big one. So that essentially means no more hinting, no more expecting, assuming, or getting upset over people not being able to read your mind. And no more thinking that it's your job to read other people's minds, because it's not. Seriously, you know you, your needs, and your wants. And if you don't, then it's your job to do that work. It's no one else's. And from there, you need to start actually communicating it. A girl would often find herself complaining to her girlfriends about how their partner isn't prioritizing them enough, or their boss isn't promoting them or giving them the raise that they want, or their mentor doesn't really understand them, or the waiter didn't give them the right order. And don't get me wrong, because society has really conditioned women to stay quiet, to be good girls, but that doesn't mean you need to listen. So my question is, with all of these things that you feel like you're missing in your life, and especially from other people, have you actually asked for it? I don't mean hinted or assumed or kind of explained around it. I mean, have you literally asked for what you want? Have you asked for the raise? Or have you just hinted that you've been struggling to pay for transportation lately? Have you actually asked your partner to prioritize you more? Have you actually told them what that even means to you? Or have you just sighed every time he goes out to spend time with his buddies? Have you spoken calmly and compassionately and said with the exact words what you want or need? And have you taken the responsibility of meeting your own needs, even if that means connecting with people who are willing and able and happy to meet your relationship needs? And if not, then whose fault is it really? And this is almost where we go back to the very first point of taking responsibility and accountability in your life. And I get it. It's hard because the second women start stating what they need or want, they're typically deemed demanding, difficult, needy, or aggressive. But again, society might be loud, but it doesn't make it right. And growing from a girl to a woman is just as much about what you want to keep in terms of beliefs and habits, actions and values and so on, as it is about what you're deciding to let go of and choose differently. And the truth is, you can sit unhappily and feel like people aren't giving you what you need, or giving you what you deserve, or not understanding you. But unless you take the job and responsibility of ensuring that you've done your best, that you actually stated with specific words, and you've stated it in a clear and loving way, not in a shouting and aggressive way, then you're probably going to stay stuck in that unhappiness. And you can blame other people for it, but it doesn't make it their fault. And it's important to note that, not everyone is going to be able or willing to meet your needs. You can state what you need or what you want, but that doesn't force or make it so that someone will meet those needs. But then it's up to you to choose to move away, to let go of that, to find people who will support you and your needs. It's not their fault that you are settling to be with them. Whether that's a romantic partner or a friend or a coworker or a family member, that's your decision. And it's your decision to leave if you want to, or spend less time with them, or be less in touch with them, or just give less and redirect your focus and energy. Another aspect of evolving from a girl to a woman that I find really important and that I think is a huge differentiator in the women that I find as role models and inspiring versus the ones that I find a bit outdated and a bit like, you're in a different generation, I want something else. And that is women who have learned to activate and embrace their feminine energy, as well as their masculine, in a healthy way. Your feminine energy is so powerful and wonderful, and yet most of society talks about it and directs to it and speaks about it as if it's lesser, as if it's weaker, as if it's a problem, as if it's a burden. But none of that is true. And when we don't lean into and know how to trust and embody our feminine energy, we're leaving huge parts of our authentic self on the table. Plus, we don't really feel that fulfilled. And it's kind of like, have you ever had this big goal or dream that you thought, okay, once I get there, I'll be happy. This will be good. And then you actually make it happen and you kind of feel a bit disappointed. You feel like that wasn't what you had envisioned. Like, really? That's it? That's what I worked so hard for. And that often comes from you only tapping into the masculine and not tapping into the creative, passionate, life-giving, nurturing, compassionate, joyful, expressive, loving, soulful energy of the feminine. And the feminine energy is also the healing and restorative energy. So if you want to feel calm and peaceful and embodied, and you want to learn how to trust your intuition and feel confident to make your own decisions without having to check with everyone else or feeling like you have to prove or justify yourself, then that all comes from the feminine energy. So it's time to learn how to activate it and how to appreciate it. And if you haven't already, I really recommend checking out this video, as it's all about different ways to activate your feminine energy. Another quick point when it comes to becoming that woman and letting go of the girl is getting comfortable with your own beauty and essentially owning your own style and your own sense of beauty. And a lot of times these fashion and beauty standards kind of put this idea in our minds that we're all meant to look the same and that we're all meant to strive for the same thing. And it also tends to give us this idea that we're not already beautiful, or that there's something wrong with us, and if we just get like this, then we'll be beautiful. But a grown woman will know her own beauty. She will know her own style. And she'll feel comfortable knowing that she's not like everyone else, and that's what makes her special. Instead of trying to follow every single trend out there or comparing yourself to everyone else on social media all the time, figure out what looks good on you. Figure out what makes you feel good. Dress and get ready in the morning for you, not for anyone else. For you to feel good. Because when you look good, you radiate good energy, good vibes. And that levels you up in life. And then the next habit or tip in terms of becoming that empowered woman is essentially around knowing your own worth. And stop looking for everyone else's approval or validation in everything you do. That essentially comes from learning how to believe in yourself, knowing your own value, and standing firm in your truth, rather than going with what everyone else thinks of you. Especially because they're usually the people who don't actually know you very well. And I've had so many experiences of kind of doing the unconventional thing and having people say or do some really awful things both to me and about me. And in those times, I really needed to dig deep and know for myself whether what they were thinking or saying was actually true, or if I knew myself better than they did. And for me, there's this amazing quote from J-Lo that I absolutely love, and that once I heard it, it was just so amazing, and it has been really, really helpful for me to get through some of those tough times of feeling like the storm is coming against you and everyone is coming at you with so much judgment and aggression and a complete disinterest in your heart and your truth and what's actually on your mind and what was actually your intentions and what were your thoughts and experiences. And again, it's so easy to feel like you just fall under all of that and you just start thinking that maybe what they're saying about me is true. Maybe this person knows me better than I know myself. Maybe somehow I've just gotten this complete wrong idea of who I think I am, and maybe they see something in me that I just don't. And that quote that I think I saw in an interview with her, where J-Lo was talking about kind of the early days in her career and how everyone was writing about her relationships and just saying a lot of crappy things about her. And what she said was that I really needed to figure out who I was and then believe in that and nothing else. And that's what you need to do too. You need to really figure out who you are. And don't get me wrong, that's a lifelong process. But you need to get to a place where you know you and where you can believe in that, and everyone else can say stuff, they can believe stuff, but deep down you know you and you believe in who you are, and you don't believe in all of the crap that they're coming with from the outside looking in, because that's usually what they are. And then we're at the absolute final point when it comes to growing up from a girl to a woman. And this one is probably a little bit more in my personal opinion, but I think it's an important one to mention. But that is to learn how to sync your life with your cycle, or at the very least, understand your menstrual cycle and understand your female biology. Because it's so much more than just you have the ability to get pregnant, or once a month you get a period, and that's all. There's so much more to it, and it impacts your body and your health and your energy and your productivity and your social life and your need for self-care, your metabolism. It impacts so much more than just whether you have your period or not. And unless you actually start learning about that and understanding that, then again, how can you respect your health? How can you know who you are if you don't even know something as basic as how your own biology actually operates? And a huge part of that, and part of why I think it's so important, is because it's also all about stepping away from the idea that the only way to create success is the male way or the masculine way, or based on the 24-hour circadian rhythm. It's time you stop trying to fit yourself into a box that was created by the male for the male, and you start flourishing as a woman, as a feminine being. Stop viewing yourself and other feminine beings as inadequate or lesser, and see and honor and cherish the power in your feminine way of creating, developing, and succeeding. And with that, I hope this video brought you some value and helped you get some pointers on how to become the woman of your dreams and reclaim the power in your life. Because the truth is, it's always been there. You can never lose your power. It's just about you actually claiming it for yourself. And if you enjoyed it, I hope you will click the like button and help me get it out to more women out there. And leave a comment with your own tips and experiences so that we can share them with other women and support each other and build each other up. And don't forget to subscribe and join the community to become your authentic self. And for your next watch, I recommend checking out these videos right here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.